Welcome back. Today on Lens Africa, we will be talking about the Russian-Ukraine war and the economic impact on Africa and Africa's response. Here to discuss the issues are Ambassador Aderibigbe John Adekorede, National President, Carrot Growers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria. He's joining us via Zoom. Welcome, Ambassador. Welcome to Lens in Africa.
Thank you. It's nice having me here.
All right, pleasure. Also joining us in the studio is policy and economic expert Obinnaya C. Uruakpa. He's a team leader and CEO, Grand Renaissance International Limited. Welcome to the show, Mr. Obinnaya, all the way on my left with the red cap chief. Are you red cap chief, sir?
If you say so.
It's a pleasure. It's quite good to have you on the show. All right. Finally, an international economic strategist and CEO, African Socio-Cultural Development Foundation, Dr. Anthony Chibo. Welcome to Lens on Africa.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you. I feel like a strategist already, you know, sitting beside two strategists of international repute. I think I'm a strategist by association.
By association, yeah.
No, you don't seem convinced about that. All right, Dr. Obinnaya, I'm going to ask you this question. Why does or should the Ukraine war affect us in any way at all?
The world has become a global village that we already know.
Yeah.
And there's that interconnectedness. So there's this input-output thing where what you produce may just be the input in what I process or what fits my immediate environment. For instance, a country like Russia. Russia is the world's largest exporter of components for the making of fertilizer.
Okay.
So if you say you want to, as a country like Nigeria or many African countries, and your mainstay is agriculture, so you begin to understand that the role agriculture plays in our agricultural production. You know, so now that there's a crisis and there's all the sanctions against Russia, you begin to understand the impact that will have on African countries. And of course, over time, African countries ideally should have become independent. For a country like Nigeria that is 61 years and counting, we should have become self-sufficient in production of fertilizer. You know all the stories around that. But be that as it may, it's what it is. Now, if you also look at the issue of importation, many African countries are focused on consumption more than production.
Okay.
So you have a country like most countries in North Africa, Egypt, and the rest of them importing much of their wheat from Russia and Ukraine. Incidentally, the part of Ukraine that has been most impacted by this crisis is a part that produces some of the grains that you have, especially wheat. You know, so a great percentage of the wheat and other grains like sunflower and so on that you consume in Africa actually comes from that access.
Okay.
Now, if you look at post-COVID-19, you know what the disruptions have been like.
Yeah.
You know, and then just immediately after we thought we were recovering, you now have this crisis. You know what the implications would be.
All right, so I'm going to pause you there and go to Dr. Chibo. Now, I hear what he has said. It makes a lot of sense to me. But I also understand that where we're sleeping, it's a global world. You understand that the Russia war didn't happen overnight. There was a build-up, you know, Russia's history. We knew it had attacked Crimea. So this was almost certainly going to happen. This was the outcome. Why were we not prepared for it? Why are we so badly affected, even if though, you know, after the warning signs were there? We've had decades to grow our economy, decades and some even more than that to grow the African economies. Why? What happened?
What happened is that we're living in a culture, we're experiencing a culture, we are a culture that has everything retrograde to economic development. That is what happened. The question here is very, very sad. The question here is there or there is an impact, an economic impact because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Some people have even linked it to what's going to happen about food security. Some people have linked it to wheat exports.
Yeah.
That's very sad because Nigeria has no business in the first place importing wheat.
We do not.
Just like we have no business in the first place importing refined products. In fact, you may not know that in 1999, wheat importation was actually banned in this country, and all was good. As a matter of fact.
So we should ban it again.
We should have. We have no business importing it.
Okay, I'm going to be talking
place.
with Ambassador now. He is online. Ambassador, what's your take on this matter? He just mentioned an issue that is right around your corridor, the issue of importation of foodstuff. What's your take? Why are we so badly affected? And why are we here? Why are we talking about this?
Well, thank you very much. We are here today because of, just a particular decision we around 1970.
Sorry,
around the
Ambassador.
1970s.
Sorry, Ambassador, if I may interject. Your camera is shaking a lot. Could you mind keeping the phone on somewhere a bit stable? Your camera seems to be bouncing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, please?
Yeah, I can hear you, and it's stable now.
Okay, I said we are here today because of a decision we took sometime around 1970.
Okay.
Prior to 1970, Nigeria is a predominant and agriculture-based country, a country that is dependent on agricultural produce. We produce most of what we eat, and then we also have, countries of the world where we export our farm produce, both cash crop and food crop, where we export them to. Prior to that 1970 decision, the petrodollar scandal that happened in Saudi Arabia, I come to understand that I think it has to do with some political decisions that has brought us to this state.
Okay.
Or so probably that has brought us to the situation where we find ourselves today.
So you're suggesting that today,
in Africa.
You're suggesting that today's issue is not a today's problem. It goes back to the 1970s.
Yes, it actually went as far back 1970, prior to the discovery of the oil here in Nigeria, precisely.
That's very interesting. Mr. Obinnaya, what's your take? You were smiling in a very interesting way. So let's hear what's going on.
Okay, let me bust your bubble. I'll support him by taking us way back to Ghana's independence was 1957.
Yeah.
Okay, I've always said in my speaking engagements that there were three things the colonial masters were supposed to have taught the colonized people.
Okay.
Number one is academic intelligence, which is knowledge.
Yeah.
Number two is administrative intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. My understanding of that administrative intelligence is that we got that mindset that we should go get jobs.
Yeah.
So the mindset was actually flawed from ab initio.
Okay.
Then number three is financial intelligence. Financial intelligence ties into what Doc began to say. If we reasoned very well, we would have understood that when we had the oil boom, just like Dr. Ajayi just said, we had the oil boom, we should have invested that money in building infrastructure. We should have done the ONE facilities to make sure fertilizer was all over the place. When Akinwumi Adesina was there, I had the privilege of being part of the committee that looked at the Youth Employment Agriculture Program. I was part of the committee, and we discussed different things. There were 12 sectors we looked at, down to retail. And it will shock you to permit me to call it the South African chain, shop chain, wouldn't want to call the name, had only about 16 locations in sub-Saharan South Africa.
Yeah.
But came into Nigeria and began to target 77 locations. They saw the potentials the Lebanese saw in Nigeria that many of our people didn't see. So you see governors and you see persons who supposedly should know better, cutting tips for shops set up by foreigners in Nigeria. So, and
isn't that foreign direct investment? So
you can call it foreign direct investment, but if you go to Ghana, they tell you that until you get to a particular threshold, you're not supposed to play in certain primary levels in their economy. Yeah. Now you go into some of these chains and you see them selling cocoyam, ogo, and the rest. So where would our MSMEs play in? So you begin to look at this issue of what exactly drives
me and you are going to
policy,
have a little problem. I don't like the market. I like to go to the supermarket and buy cocoyams. Is that okay?
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. But up until we begin to get that policy formulation right, and where we begin to set boundaries where foreigners play and where our people play, you're going to have the MSME sector suffer.
All right, Dr. Chibo, you seem like you have an opinion. Would like to hear it.
Why are we not producing? Why are we not manufacturing? The situation is almost so simple to diagnose that it is funny. If you do not produce and you do not manufacture, you cannot expect increased revenue.
Okay.
If you do not have increased revenues, your economy ends up where it is right now. You can't tax, you have nobody to tax because people are not earning. So the issue is, why are we not producing? Whether it is agricultural, whether it is industrial, or whatever. And the reason we're not producing is because the culture of production is not within us. And that is dangerous.
The culture of production.
It is not within us. We have a culture of consumption.
Okay, so I'm
Consumption. But it's supposed to be production. Where production is manufacturing of goods and services. So even if you're bringing about AI, what do you call it, software, you're producing. If you're making cars, you're producing. My shoe is made in Aba, and it is just as good, if
pretty
not
nice
better.
shoes, I'm sure. I wouldn't have guessed.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to stop you now and just talk with Ambassador a bit, because Ambassador is producing. He's a farmer. They produce, they farm, they grow, they process, and they market their products. Ambassador, he says we have a strictly consumption mentality. We are not producers. Is that so? And if it is, why? What your experience in your industry?
Okay, thank you. As I rightly said when I started, I said prior to the discovery of the oil in 1970s, Nigeria is predominantly producers of agro product, both cash crop and food crop. And you know, and after the discovery of the oil, there was neglect. You know, the agri ministry suffered neglect and you know, little budget to run that very ministry. It's not possible. You want the Federal Ministry of Agri to perform magic, and then you know they are not well funded. And for the areas where they are well funded, the National Bureau of Statistics are not doing what they are supposed to do as agency to capture Nigerian position on a particular crop to reflect us to the international community, so as to put us in the business direction, whereby they could identify with us in a particular crop to start off taking a particular crop from Nigeria.
Okay.
So I would say right now we are more predominant of import states than of export states, and we will always be like this, and probably will continue like this if we don't go back to the grassroots. We need to go back to the grassroots. Sorry, permit me to say this. I would want to use this opportunity to employ federal government to declare state of emergency, because in another 2 years, I promise you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pause you there. We'll get back to that talk. Dr. Chibo, I'm going to ask you this question, follow up to what he said. You know, he says we're producing, but we, you know, they're not having enough. You're talking about something a tad different. You're talking about a culture of production that is inherent in our people. We always want to produce something, not always wanting to take back. How do we revive that culture? How do we grow this new culture in our people to ensure that we don't become appendage to a Russian economy as we have been because of some of these issues?
Yes, it takes you, I'm going to use the word indoctrinate.
Okay.
You need to indoctrinate the children.
Okay.
First of all.
Okay.
It has to start with what is superior and what is inferior.
Okay.
It has to start with what actually constitutes my being a successful person.
Okay.
Am I a successful person because I studied abroad and everything I'm wearing is from abroad and I can go abroad every day? Or am I a successful person because I am here, proud to speak my own language, have produced from the land here, or produced with my brain what I have done here, learned here? Which one makes me successful? Am I successful because I have produced and employed labor, or because I work somewhere, got my money somehow through that place illegally, and I'm able to spread money around in my village?
Okay.
What makes me more successful? This is very important. The culture has to change first. When it changes, the direction of what the population wants to do changes.
Mr. Obinnaya,
yes.
Politicians care about winning elections.
Yeah.
Impoverished people all across Africa just care about survival. These two things mixing don't seem like we're going to have. Africa is going to be make the leap it needs. There doesn't seem to be the materials to ignite that leap to move forward. How should we be hopeful? Should we be pessimistic? Or what can we do from this place going forward?
Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see."
Okay.
Now, we have 1 year to elections in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the people will determine the government they get. However, based on what Doc just said, the level of impoverishment in our land means that the unscrupulous ones who have taken over the political space, not everyone is unscrupulous in politics. I've been involved in politics.
Yeah.
Now, the ones who are dominating the political space
Yeah.
seem to have understood that as impoverished as the people are, it's easy to give them pittance and get their votes.
Yeah.
However, it comes down to enlightenment. If you and I decide to commit class suicide, the Chairman Mao's committed class suicide, the several persons who drove the revolutions in the world committed class suicide,
Yeah.
came down from the level of the enlightenment to the level of the proletates, where they
To
enlightened
lift them
them, to
up.
lift them, to understand exactly what it
Fantastic.
takes to
move.
determine who leads them per turn.
All right, Ambassador, I'm going to ask you this question. Already, we're running out of time, so in just a few moments, I'd like you to do this. Already, we've seen some of the impact of the Russian-Ukraine war in Nigeria. We've seen projects like the Adekorede steel has gone down because it's a Russian project. We are going to see a whole lot more things like this happen. However, this war also produces opportunities for people in the agric industry to produce and sell and export. What has been done in that sector? Can we expect that we will take advantages of it and some good will come out?
Yes. Just last week, I was in Abuja for a meeting with the Nigerian Flour Mill and the Wheat Farmer Association group and some other group in the agric sector. What we come to understand that because of before the war, we discovered that sometime around 2020, Nigerian import on wheat has risen up to 2.56507 million dollars that we are importing wheat into this country. And then federal government's program on anchor borrower scheme came up with the 91,000 hectares program that is right now as we speak, they are harvesting as we speak right now.
Ambassador, okay, we're a bit out of time. Could you just round up? We're a bit out of time. Sorry.
Yes, the outcome of that response has put Nigeria in a good position in the area of wheat production.
So we will be taking advantage of this situation. That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Chibo, in running up, I'm going to ask about the dollar relations and all of that with Russia, all that's going on. Will we be reaping some harvest from this, or will we not?
In the long term, there are prospects. You know, we're a gas producing nation,
yeah.
And now the internationally, the world wants to diversify out from dependency on the Russian gas. That should profit us in the long term.
But in the short term?
In the short term, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Unfortunately.
It
doesn't.
Mr. Obinnaya, in rounding up, what next?
I'll end on a note of hope. The Anchor Borrowers Program was launched in November 2015 in KB State.
Yeah.
As at 2015, we had just about 4 million rice farmers.
Yeah.
By 2019, we had about 12 million carrying rice farmers.
Okay.
Now, so there's potential for us to actually produce to feed our people.
Yeah.
But you need to deal with security.
Yeah.
So farmers are able to get into their farms, produce, like Doc said, and dig up their yams, harvest their produce. And then you need to deal with road infrastructure, and if possible, deal with waterways infrastructure.
Fantastic.
Because you have more items on the roads, spoiling the roads, whereas you can have as many 911s worth of load on the waterways.
I'll have to cut you there because we've already exceeded our time. And we've been talking about the Russian-Ukraine war and the economic impact on Africa and African economies. And my guests have done a fantastic job. We hope we will talk more about this as the days go ahead so we can expand some more and gain some more knowledge. So we're going to be going on now. We have a few social social media messages I think that we can take. We have from Nana says, Lens in Africa is a good show. You enjoyed the show today. We hope that we keep on having guests like this. We certainly will have this guest coming. All right, now, so I also have one from, this is Abdullahi. Abdullahi says it's from Kano, that you missing. Oh, the Kanu artifacts on the show. We've shown them quite a lot, so we'll show a couple of other states, and I'm sure we will get back to showing Kanu once again. We have a few people here. This one says, hello, I'm from Ghana. But Ghana, you have no name. Please send us your name. And yes, we love Ghana too, and we will have Ghana show on Lens in Africa. As you can tell, we rotate from various states, and I'm sure one of these days we'll be doing something special. We have done something in Ghana before, and we will be doing something again. Well, it's an hour too soon. It's amazing how things, end up very quickly, and in a few minutes, we're moving over, and it's time for us to end. So this is Lens in Africa. We hope to see you same time next week. Enjoy the show from the producer, the director, and the rest of us here. Have a good one.